For the American soldiers that arrived at the camp, it was the most hideous sight they'd ever seen. At Mauthausen they found around 16,000 people, reduced to skeletons and riddled with disease. An information pamphlet from the 11th Armoured Division reported that the bodies of more than 500 were stacked in the area between the two barracks. It's really the smell that makes a visit to a death camp a stark reality, one American soldier wrote. The smell of the dead and dying, the smell of the starving. Yes, it's the smell, the odour of the death camp that makes it burn in the nostrils and memory. I will always smell Mauthausen. Seeing the extent of the horrors at Mauthausen, the Americans rounded up people from the neighbouring villages, marched them into the camp and forced them to clear away the dead bodies. For the camp survivors, every possible medical measure was provided for them, and they were warned not to eat too much, as their bodies couldn't handle such a sudden increase in food. Yet within the next few days, more than 3,000 people died. After years of slow starvation, they just couldn't resist the urge to eat when food became available, and their weakened bodies just shut down. Many others died because they attempted to leave the camp before they were strong enough. They were desperate to leave this hell behind and return to their homelands, so they ignored the Americans' warnings to stay put, and they wandered out into the wilderness and died along the way. 2 years after the liberation of Mauthausen, on the 27th and 28th of May 1947, American soldiers executed 48 of the camp's former operators, officials and doctors. Each of these men died by hanging in the courtyard of Landsberg prison in Bavaria. One man reportedly took 18 minutes to die. Afterwards, the bodies were unceremoniously buried in a trench that was dug outside the prison walls. Despite this, many of those who committed unspeakable atrocities in Mauthausen were never punished. Mauthausen and its subcamps were among the last of the concentration camps liberated by the Allies. Mauthausen today stands as a memorial and educational site, preserving the history of the atrocities committed there and honouring the memories of its countless victims. At the Mauthausen Memorial, many of the original structures remain intact. Visitors can visit the gas chambers, the crematoriums, the shower rooms and the hospital, and they can of course visit the Bone Grinder Quarry and walk the infamous Stairs of Death.